Hello everybody. Time for some mystic ramblings. Welcome to my channel. If you are new here, welcome. And if you are returning, thank you for coming back. My name is Sabrina. I am a mystic. I know that for a fact now. I've spent many years researching, not only acquiring self-knowledge, but actually searching and learning about many other spiritual traditions and trying to understand basically the mysteries of life. Something just happened to me a few minutes ago that I felt was a very good sign. No. I thought I would share it with you. This has happened to me, okay? This has happened to me several times in my life. And as you work on yourself and you grow spiritually, these things will happen. I'm just sitting here resting. I finished my breakfast. I was very hungry. I've had quite a lot to eat. Yesterday I did go to temple. And I got there at 5:15, and then something called Abhishekam for Shiva started around 5:30, 5:40. He has quite a lot to get together to prepare for that. And so it started. Now my first Abhishekam was about 2 weeks ago. I couldn't make it to temple last Monday. In any event, I've learned over the years that I was a medium. I turned into a medium. But what happens is when you grow spiritually, you free up your energy. The more you free up blockages, the more you free up energy. And I'd already had my shamanic dream journey, and I'd had quite a lot of blockages released at that time. However, I did continue to have a lot of struggles because I was financially strapped and I was still in the relationship with the narcissist husband, all right? So sometimes we have to see what doesn't work to finally realize what does work, right? You don't know what you've got until it's gone. I still had karma that I had to work through. And this is a big thing that I have been learning about. Is karma and what karma really is. In the Western world, we just think of it as, repercussions of what we do that's not correct. It's not good. But it's much more than that. What happened was, as I was sitting here after I ate my breakfast, and I had already been watching videos while I was cooking and while I was eating, and I've been reviewing snake energy, naga, Vasuki. What are those things? Puja, Abhishekam. I came across Abhishekam for Naga, Puja for Naga, Puja for Nagas, 3 Nagas. And I'm seeing where the snake wasn't on the Shiva lingam last night. But anyway, there were things that I was able to project psychically and energetically and for things to happen after my first somatic release. I was able to keep a parking meter stuck on the time that was there. I think it was like 10-15 minutes. I didn't have any money, so I concentrated on that the whole time I was in the library with the kids and printing off what I needed to print and having them go get their book. Time ran over, and I was really getting afraid that there was going to be a ticket. We checked out, went to the car, and the parking meter was still stuck on whatever it was, 15 or 20 minutes. It hadn't moved. These are things that people in a lot of cultures in my Western world where I live in America, a lot of, Western religious ideas, they don't want to believe that anybody can do that. We do have that ability. We do have that divinity within us. But we have to work to release blockages. There's several different ways to do that. But the road that I had taken, I think actually made it longer. And so if I can help people make the route shorter, I think maybe that is why I'm going to be sharing and teaching. There was a few other things that I had done. My son came to me one night and said, "Mom, my batteries are dead for my toothbrush." I said, "Give them to me." And I held them, and I just imagined white light for several, I don't know, maybe a minute. And I think he asked me, "How long are you going to hold them?" I said, "I don't know. How long's it been?" I guess it had been like a minute. Kids aren't very patient. I said, "Okay, try it. I don't know, try it. I might have to hold it again. I don't even know if this is going to work, okay?" But I knew that energy was flowing through me. And how I knew that was, I'll tell you in a minute. He put the batteries in the toothbrush, and they worked. "It's working," I said, "Okay." I don't know if he asked me how to do that, and I told him, I think I'm a medium. I was learning, the kids were watching me learn and grow. What had happened prior to that was I had been studying and learning, and I'd opened the back door to do the drawing down the sun exercise first thing in the morning. Very quickly, look up at the sun without really looking at it directly, and you look at the rays, and you suck it in. And I felt very tingly immediately, and now just thinking about doing it makes me tingly. What happened after that was, the familiar I had at the time, his name was Tabby, was laying on my daughter's bed, and she had a little light-up dolly. And the light-up dolly was behind Tabby and his head, and I started to pet him from his head down, and then I went back up, and the little dolly lit up. And I went back down again, and then back up, and the little dolly lit up again. Animals are open channels, like mediums. This is when I realized that I could now release my energy, and I released it through Tabby, which helped him, and then the evidence of it was through the light-up dolly. As time went on, though, and I began to go to college and was still dealing with a lot of stress with my husband, less and less of this began to manifest. You got someone sucking your energy, you got blockages. There was a lot of things that I began to have to deal with in order to clear up our life financially, and I've talked about this. I put us into debt consolidation, and then I filed for bankruptcy. I'm not exactly sure. Yeah, I had the strength and the peace and the knowing that I would have the stamina to continue doing what I needed to do until I could actually get away from the narcissist. And until I did, and I was living in the haunted apartment with my daughter, did I start to see where I was able to manifest again. And by that I mean draw energy from nature and channel it out through myself, or actually affect things to happen, like holding batteries and having them recharge. Those were wonderful days. I was very peaceful, and my kids were learning about a few things. Now, again, I entered a period of blockages and stress in the haunted house until I got out of it and got into a third floor apartment like I'm on right now, away from the ground floor noise and everything. I was with my daughter. It was peaceful. It was better. And we had been there for, 6 months or so. Maybe longer than that. And I had an incredible amount of stress, which I was able to deal with because I had been liberated from the marriage to the narcissist. Once again, I felt a sense of energy and strength, and I was able to work my 2 part-time jobs. I began to get depleted once again, and someone had offered us a nice big queen-size bed, which we finally got moved into the apartment. I had my daughter staying in the living room for a while on the sofa bed because she had been really acting up and becoming extremely difficult as a teenager. So I took the bedroom for a while, and I was enjoying just being on the big bed. And one morning, I had the phone next to me and I thought of calling my son. All of a sudden, I see the name Michael on the phone, and I hear the voice, "Hello?" And I just said, "Hello?" He said, "Mom, what do you want?" Because it came up Mom on his side of the phone. I said, "Nothing, I didn't dial you, you did it?" I said, "Well, I didn't even hear the phone ring. Did it ring on your end?" And he said, "Yes." I said, "I'm just waking up and the phone is right next to me, and I was thinking of you." So your liquid crystallines inside of you will be activated or reactivated, however you want to say it. And so we said goodbye and we hung up. And there's crystals in phones, okay? And there's crystals in TVs. I have an LCD. Now, if you've been following me, you know I've had an incredible amount of stress over the past 14 months with someone who had an idea, an idealized version of who I am, and decided they needed to be with me, and it was obsessive. It reminded me of my ex, and I was trying to understand it and deal with it. It was unbelievably frightening and stressful for me. Very, very confusing. There was a lot of telepathic images that I was receiving in dreams, picking up on his thoughts, his ideas, his desires, his wants, and his needs. And it was all about him because, once again, I was in touch with a narcissist. I've had the strength, again, the stamina to decide or to realize I was once again going to have to apply myself like I have in the past. And I would listen to my intuition and follow it. I was led to go to a storage place and get boxes and start packing and loading up a truck, which I had also received in February. this is good karma. This was good karma coming back to me. I've talked about this. This allowed me to be able to move myself, which I needed to do. I found a way to get up in the morning and ask for assignments so that I could make more money and qualified to get into this smaller place. I have to get my finances back in order once again. So there's been a lot of intuition that has opened up. And then I was led to the deity Shiva on the lunar eclipse, which they say was on March 25th, but my dream where he came to me was on March 23rd, and it was a Saturday. This began to, well, it removed an incredible amount of blockages, okay? Generational karma, and karma that I brought into this life, and a lot of other issues related to that, right? Constantly having narcissists come to me. And I began to understand that in November and understand it even more as I went from looking back to my marriage to my childhood. And by looking at my childhood, I finally had this understanding that the learning was over. And that's when Shiva came to me in the dream. I made a video about snake energy, and I'm learning quite a lot about it now. But what I want to talk about now is that as I'm sitting here watching videos on devotion to Naga the snake, what is the snake, what does it mean really, why do we honor it, why do we do devotionals to it, abhishekams to it, pujas to it, is because it is the energy that releases blockages. So my VCAS will go off from time to time if I'm not watching a video. And I thought, I want to watch another video. And I pick up the phone and the YouTube icon comes on before I do anything. And I'm like, yes, it's back. And this was happening when I first moved into my apartment. I would think of something, and like a fireplace video, and a fireplace video would come on. Or I would think of a video I wanted to watch, or wish that it would stop, and it would stop. So as you continue to learn how to be still and meditate and do psychic exercises, energy exercises, work with these energies, excuse me, that release blockages, you will have blockages released. Part of that for me has been affirmations and then visualizations. But when I first moved into the apartment, the word lingam came to me. And I really didn't know what it was about or what to do with it. I was honoring Ganesha. So by working with Ganesha, I believe that my hippocampus was healing, and I was beginning to start to be able to deal with the things that were going to be coming into my life again and again and again, until I finally got sick and tired of it and began to realize what was happening. As an empath, this is what will happen. Again and again and again and again and again in your life until you finally go, what the heck is this? This has to stop. Or you're just not going to be able to grow as a person, individually and spiritually. You're just going to have blockages, setbacks, and you won't know why. So I've been very physically active almost every day, and now that I'm starting to get settled in, I'm actually starting to relax a little bit more. But I went to temple last night, and we did the honoring of Shiva, Abhishekam. It's a purification, they call it a bath, where you're actually understanding that we're doing actions to remind us that karma is real. Karma comes from the past, it comes from other people, it comes from what we do, and we are purifying. We are realizing that we need to be aware of karma and what we're saying and what we're doing and how we're living, so that we don't start creating any more bad karma that can bring blockages, including physical illnesses. The naga, the snake, is for removing illnesses as well. There's quite a lot to it, but it's basically that. So I'm learning, or relearning, about Abhishekam and all the things that we were doing. He's putting the water, then he's putting the milk, then he's putting the yogurt, then he's putting the turmeric, and then he's putting the kumkum. I might still have my dot here. I'm not doing much of my hair and my makeup. I am wearing this scarf though, which I've had for a long time, and I believe this is the same print that you see on many photos of Shiva. So yes, you can not only affect things around you once you've reactivated the liquid crystals within your body, other things that have crystals in them you can affect. And this includes other human beings. So how are you going to do that? I started many years ago with meditation. And this is really what the symbol of Shiva is. It's sitting in stillness and learning to clear the mind. A lot of thoughts will come to your mind every single day as you're learning to meditate. That happened to me for weeks when I was 12 years old, until finally one day they stopped. And I wanted to give it up. I gave it up at one point for a few days or so, and then it was explained to me that this is normal. You're just going to have to keep doing it until the brain finally gets the message. All right, she's not going to stop. She's not going to give these thoughts any attention anymore. They're not going to distract her. So let's just not even bother. And then I had a clear mind. So once I experienced the clear mind, or the bliss, I could recall it. Now, years went by and I did not meditate. It was not a part of my life, it was not a part of my culture, and I didn't have a family or a group around me that did it. There was only a few times when I went to a building called Self-Realization Fellowship, where you could go in and you could sit and you could meditate. But I never joined a Hindu temple. I was interested, but I didn't join it because I was still very much enmeshed and ingrained in the Western culture. And even though I didn't go to any other church, I didn't think about going to Hindu temple. But I did read the Bhagavad Gita, and I did enroll in Shiva mind control. And that again was prompted to me by my father. Those are good places to start, but eventually you have to get to a spiritual practice. You really do. And whatever energy, symbol, deity, it all has to do with you. You're going within to find your own divinity, to reactivate your own DNA, your own liquid crystals. That's what it's all about. Everything that was done in the Abhishekam is for us. It's not the worshiping of the stone. The offerings of the water and the milk and the yogurt and the turmeric is all about realizing turmeric is good for our body. It's good for our health. Water is good. Cleanliness is good. Milk is an energy to also re-energize the murti. There was 2 murtis there, 2 statues, as well as the Shiva Lingam. We are giving it more energy, and it is having a radiation of energy of its own. And then we can tap into that. It is assisting us like any other deity. We plug into that to assist us. It is non-physical. It's not bound by the limitations of the physical. It can assist us. And we give it offerings because you need to give in order to receive. You don't just go to a spirit and say, oh, help me, help me, help me. And it has to be for the good of all. Not just for you. That's not going to last. And there might be lessons there to understand, you know, why am I not getting what I want? Is this not good for me? Is this not right for anybody? Why not? Well, maybe it's not fair. Maybe it's not equal. Maybe it's out of date. So I guess that's it for today in this video. I'm definitely learning much, much more about Shiva, the snake, Shakti, Vasuki, the name of the king cobra that is around Shiva's neck and why it is there. And the fact that I was called Julie in the dream, which told me that I'm definitely had a clearing of karma, lessons learned, purge, start over, and make sure that I don't cloud my mind and my body with a bunch of gobbledygook. You don't have to go around being a goody two-shoes, but you just have to be aware of your thoughts and your actions. And that they're not totally self-serving. That's what I know so far. I'm happier too. I'm happier, you know. And as an empath, you need to just take it one day at a time and stop thinking and wondering and worrying about becoming involved in a relationship. I've actually met someone, I think by chance, and I'm pretty darn sure he's an empath, so new life, right? Attracting an empath instead of a narcissist. He's into a lot of spiritual things. So I'll have to let you know more about that as it goes, and I'm still living in a war zone here. Don't really know how or where to put things. So it's a process, you know, life is just a process. But I think that finding a system that is so old and so strong and plugging into that to help release blockages, and one of the biggest ones could be you getting over this idea of the snake being bad. is a very, very powerful way to tap into releasing blockages and just having an easier life. All right. Namaste. Have a good day. Talk to you later.